Come here, Mike Coon. Hey guys, what's up? Man. The way I almost hit stop stream. Those buttons are not even close to each other. Stop streaming and transition the scene are not even close. Yeah, you two are brothers. You two are absolutely brothers. Nero being like, my dick, and Omni's just, oh, you know, just gooning. Guys, I had a little heart-to-heart with Direct Report today, because she needed one, and I don't know how it came up, but this innocent baby asked me if I knew what the word jork meant. From the mouths of babes. I've got to make my jork message more interesting. Maybe talk about charging crystals. What a fucking couple of weeks. No. She knew. She thought I didn't. Might have thrown Nero under the bus there too. And I'm like, young lady. Oh, nice plink. Thanks for the glizzies, Kaviri. What? What? What, waifu? Why are you leaving? Oh no, I totally told her. I was like, yes. I know what jork means. In fact, I have a little thing in my chat where if you do exclamation jork, like this message shows up, and Nero does too. And she's like, oh. Like, I know the slang. You're right, I should have told her to ask you. No, I did not invite her here. Nope. No. She knows that I'm on Twitch, and she knows it's for CPE stuff, and she knows that Nero is on Twitch, but she has no idea what the channels are. I would never bring her within, like, 10 meters of some of you guys, and I definitely don't want her finding my Twitter. Holy shit. Yeah, we talked about that too, waifu. We might have talked a little about how readily you surrender information. We might have talked about that a little bit. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Bring boss. No. No. You act like that's so special, Nero. I talk to her IRL all the time. On that note, when I said Nero, I did not actually say Nero. She has no idea what your channel is, unless you told her. Yeah, the direct report is under me. The boss. The boss is a bit old school. Yeah, it's spring break this week, so I have been super busy because I get to touch stuff on spring break. Because also I love the idea that she was trying to tell you, like, RM, have you heard of right? Boss definitely jorking it. No, the boss has been out all week because her mother died. So there's that. I definitely needed her this last, like, week and a half, but she has been gone. It did give me space to, like... That was just not where I needed it. It gave me space to do some stuff that I needed, though. Yeah, yikes, yeah! Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to, like, just casually drop that train. It just seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Which is being stupid, and I can't see anyone else's messages, so I'm just talking to RM in a private room. Nero shadow banned, guys. He got in trouble. He got in trouble. He's shadow banned. He can only see me. Oh, man, I stank. I stank this morning. I was running behind. I let my alarm go for longer than it should have. I have been burning the candle from both ends this week. Probably for talking about masturbation. Look, dude, I might catch a ban this week because I'm not using baby language, and we're talking about traps. Or rather, Trap 18 framework. Does anyone here know what the Trap 18 framework is? Also, it's going to be a Clip Studio stream. I'm going to be drawing. I'm going back to my roots. I'm doing doodles. Oh yeah, your AC broke? My refrigerator broke this week. So we had to grab a mini fridge real quick to save the shit we really cared about and freeze the rest in the deep freezer. So like we had options, but like I've got like this really high-end fridge that it for the second time is useless because the fan broke, probably because it iced up. Apparently that's something... Don't buy Samsung shit, guys. Apparently all their shit has gone to hell. They used to be pretty reputable, but I hear their phones suck now, their TVs suck now, and I can attest to you that the refrigerators suck now. So... Did you see that plugin that lets you draw on screen with, like, without, like, Paint Studio? No, I didn't, and I don't really care about plugins. You know why? Because I already have Clip Studio Paint. And... RM talking about baby terrorists now? Yes! Anyway, I'm going to try to save the fridge. I ordered the $30 fan. I figure it's better than paying $800 to $3,000 for a new refrigerator, depending on like what we want and how much a stick up about we have about it. I'm almost tempted to get like one of those like rental unit special refrigerators because there's less in them that can go fucking wrong. Like, I enjoy my ice maker, and I enjoy my, like, water dispenser. I enjoy them a lot, but my sink has an under-sink osmosis filter, so I can get water from there, and I can always just freeze some fucking water in some ice trays. Had a good day at work talking about the Supermicro stuff. Oh, yeah! I forgot! Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Supermicro stuff. That's so crazy. Yeah, like, you shared that with me this morning, and I instantly forgot it because of all the responsibilities I have at work right now, or had. We got some shit done. We got some shit done. And, Direct Report and I celebrated with some really good pizza. And, we do that every spring break, like, the last day, because it's always rough. We grabbed some pizza over at a local pizza joint. They have good mojitos for some reason. That's crazy, but, like, they have good mojitos. And I've been to our good bars around here, and their mojitos are better than the good bars mojitos, but it's a pizza joint. Anyway, I didn't have a mojito today, actually. I had a breakfast stout with my pizza, so I'm feeling pretty good. But yeah, apparently Supermicro was smuggling 2.4 billion worth of NVIDIA GPUs to China. CEO arrested. Hi, sweetie. I love this song.
Also, there were no peaches at the store.
There were peaches 2 weeks ago.
Hey.
I'm gonna turn that up for a sec. Anyway, hi Nero, hi Saru. I saw that my sister was in here earlier. Hi Omni, hi Waifu, hi Kaviri, hi Inak. Did I miss anybody? No. No, I haven't missed anybody that's talked today anyway. I can't see anyone. Hit refresh? I don't know what to tell you, dude. Chad, he's banned. He's totally banned. He fucked up. If you were partner, we would already see that tweet on the streamer bans feed. You'd already be there. We all blocked him. Well, what? Blocks are stupid. Because when you block somebody on Twitch, they can still see you. So that means he blocked all of us. He blocked all of us. Nero, you didn't download any shared block lists, did you? And yes, I'm going to stall a bit and yap a little. Nero hates us! I blocked all of you and then still showed up to stream. Absolute VTuber behavior. Look out. All right, I'll turn that back down. There we go. So I could have private time staring at RM's face. You know, Waifu gets more of that than you do. Just saying. Speaking of staring at my face in private, I'm going to be on Nero's stream on Tuesday, being interviewed all Space Ghost style. He's gonna trap me in a television. And we still haven't tested that yet. It's set up, but we actually haven't tested it. I'm sure we're gonna test it 30 minutes before stream and it'll all break. You watch more of my streams than she does, so yeah. That's true! You do watch more of my streams. I bet your streak is bigger, big boy. Is he gonna have the casting couch background again? Oh man, the casting couch background is great. And yes. That's like his thing now. Bro, that would be insane. Inviting Direct Report to watch, and the first thing we're talking about is the fucking casting couch. That would go over real great. That would go over real great. No, because I had to be a dad and take my daughter to a dance last Friday. Oh yeah, that's right, you lost your streak. But based. Absolutely based. Then you can ask if she knows what the casting couch is. I think she does. Nope. Wait. I'm getting less confident of that as I think about it. She didn't know what Fansly was. I had to explain that because I leaked Waifu's comment about Scooch-Chan today. Because I thought it was fucking funny. So I sent that to her. I'm here for real now. I made stuffed shells for it. Ooh. Yes, I explained Fansly. Of course I did.
Wait.
The one where you said if she had the wrong kind of female fans if they don't want to fuck her.
Oh, that one. You leaked that too.
Yeah, I sent that to Direct Report, sure. You've told her worse. You shut the fuck up. The nervous, forced laughter. You've said worse. I don't want to hear it from you.
Yeah, but I've told her worse while drunk, not sober.
Is that your excuse? Well, I hate to tell you, but she knows better.
I'm glad.
She knows better than to buy that shit from you.
No. Then she should know what a casting couch is.
No, she doesn't. I'm actually kind of sure that she doesn't now. Is it a struggle being the most handsome? I can't imagine the burden you carry. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Focus. That's an epic first time chat. Let's see. She sniffed a wine cooler and is totally feeling it. Yeah. Except that she's actually done that. She did that on our wedding night.
I did not sniff it.
You did sniff it. Yes, you drank it later, but you also sniffed it.
Who doesn't sniff their wine?
Is this my stream or yours? I'm just saying. Whose stream is it? I wear the microphone in this stream. Thank you very much.
You're right. You didn't offer me.
Being drunk doesn't change who you are, waifu. Yeah. It was a waft. It was a waft. I 100% believe our Rimmel. Yeah. I take the drink. She catches the buzz. Thanks a lot, Buzz. She did not know who the Masons were. I explained it like 4 times and she didn't get it. I don't know how that came up either, but the Masons came up. I'm like, you're in cybersec. You've got to know all of this stuff. Getting crunk off the fumes. Yeah, real cheap date. Finally, after 4 resets, I can see chat. Skill issue, but welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so we're gonna go over the Trap 18 today. Let me make sure we're all set up to go here. I love that you're in cybersec. You need to know about the. Well, yes. Sorry, but you need to. We're gonna get into that. What conversation did you have that involved Masons, Jorkin and Fansley? She went through some shit this week. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. Like, you've been here for my streams, right? 33rd Degrees run cybersec. But you've been on my streams. You know what topics I cover. All of them. And in no order. 34th, bro. Who said 33rd then? Someone said 33rd. Tuddy Tud and Tud. The 16. Fuck. Haha, funny number. Oh, that's way too thin. I thought I made that larger. There we go. This is actually a pre-crime warning sign framework for terrorist attacks, essentially. A 420. All right. Who's putting in 6-7? Let's get it out of the way. Where's the 6-7 at?
6-7.
You're not playing fair. You're hearing me in real time. There we go. Anybody else got some funny numbers? Let's get him out. Waifu is in timeout. You cannot time out the mod. Boob. I'm unmodding you, wife. Where's Plaws?
I don't know. Plaws is late. I'm the best.
Where's Plaws? I need a mod unmodded.
No, you don't.
And timed out.
I'm about to be on a phone call with my boss.
Really? Stop bringing work home! He says as he does a stream about work stuff. She didn't even catch it. She didn't even catch it, chat. The Leith. The Leith Masons.
What can I say? I'm popular.
You're popular with your boss?
With the hiring man.
Is that how you make assistant manager? She didn't catch it because she's totally feeling it. Oh, man. Another announcement before we really get into traps is, for those of you who don't know, I will be talking with my sister tomorrow. I almost said, like, off collabing, but Is it off collabing when you're a fleshy?
Pretty sure.
Are we talking about traps like the Catboy and ReZero? No, but it's a funny joke to make about Trap 18. It's a funny joke to make about Trap 18. So I'm making it constantly. Because in my stream, that doesn't get me in trouble. You're allowed to say trap here. Let's see. Let's see. Cell trapped Android 18. Is that what we're talking about? God damn it, you're right. You're right. When my chat makes my jokes better than I make them. Many such cases. I love how my whole chat is like, ReZero? If Felix is a trap, my foot's caught in it. That would be a bear trap. Don't get your foot caught in a bear trap, chat. Alright, so we're going to be talking about like one of these things again. It's really funny how often this shape comes up in modeling security stuff, but it comes up a lot. And first I would actually like to win stream tomorrow. I believe it's 10. Did we settle on 10? I think it's 10 a.m. It's like an hour before you go live. Sorry, dude. Cam covered. Oh, you're right. Thank you. I'll just... It's actually easier to just draw it back over here. So the outer layer of this... I love this song. Egg! Motherfuckers picked what I did for stream, then ditched me. What are you talking about? Wait, if it's 10 my time and 11 your time, that's actually 2 hours. Unless you're posting your times in like Eastern. Distal traits. And then we have... What was that? Yeah, the white randomizer. Look, how long can me and my sister possibly yap? We did vote his Nuzlocke. Yeah, okay. Now that I know, lots of things in cyber are indeed boob. Shit. So it'll only be an hour. Right. 12 hours. Yeah, that was the joke. We could yap forever. Literally all day. I love that waifu's talking it in all caps because she's been a victim of our diarrhea of the mouth. Nero, if that bothers you, you can always switch up what you're doing. But if you're gonna put up a poll, I'm gonna vote in it. I know you want to give me shit. It's fine. This is how we do. Pre-com. Let's see. This is actually like... Oops. This is actually... I think REM's best song, but everybody does like That's Me in the Corner when they think REM or Everybody Hurts, but I like this one the most. This is proximal warning behaviors. Now, this is for terrorists, and that doesn't really apply to like all of us, but like if you're working in a public place a lot, you might want to keep this in mind. But as this was being like presented to me, like as this model was being taught to me, I started thinking, huh, a lot of these really sound like the qualities and traits of the stalkers that go after streamers. That that's neat. So I'm kind of wondering how much overlap this model has with that, because it's not 0. So the question is, how much? Also, this model was developed by many people, but it is primarily associated with Dr. Reed Malloy. Spelled with an E, which is why I'm looking at it. It's like, as I always write it with an A, but it's actually an E. Cupcakes can be acquired. Why are we talking about... Oops, that's a streak.
Maybe you should back read.
I'm trying to back read. Yeah, crazy. Let's see. Balloons and cupcakes part? Oh my god. What are y'all... I divert my attention to my notes for 1 second, and chat has gone absolutely fucking crazy. Yeah, Meloy. You can always start your O's at the bottom when I'm watching. My O's are bottoms now. Oh, there's Plaws. Plaws, can you demod waifu and time her out for 30 seconds? And then mod her again? Cool. Anyway, what were y'all talking about? We can, yeah, because if I just wanted to give you shit, will Sylph be there when I'm there? Oh. My sister actually will generally arrive several hours before the stream because she hates wasting people's time. In the way that Sylph could party with us. Balloons and cupcakes. Oh god. Cupcakes, cupcakes, cupcakes. Anyway. I'm trying to do so I can have my notes and chat in like the same place so I don't do that again. Party in the CIA is such a vibe. Okay, when we come and visit, me and Sylph are getting cupcakes. That's right. She might still be here when you come down. Your departure Your departure date keeps getting delayed. This town is a black hole. It's already happening to direct report. I'm not sure the dates are public info. We're still in the planning stages. Months may not be long enough. Wait, is she leaving again? Of course she's leaving again! There's nothing here for her. Let's see. Well, except family visits, but, you know, I'm talking, like, financially. Anyway. So, the distal traits are, like, things that tell us you need to be watched. And there are 10 of them. Proximal warning behaviors, we have 8 of those. And those are basically our last chances to catch you. Especially some of the traits, like the major trait, the pathway trait. The pathway trait is pretty bad. If you notice somebody doing pathway trait, and I will cover it last on the proximal warnings because it's the most important one. Thanks for telling me I am in fact cutting. What? You just said you weren't cutting yesterday. Staying in the state this time? Yeah. But, like, the state is big. Oh, man. So, like, Nero's not the only one showing up. A Euro is also showing up. Provided everything goes to plan. Oh, beach day? God damn it, waifu. He could always sell drugs and stay. Seems to be the only thing to do around here. I'll be here helping sis for a few months. Cool. Nice. Let's see, a few beach days with God, you guys just going on. There could be a monkey there. Sweet. Sweet. Hey, Lirio, what's up? I guess we're planning another fucking get-together. Still eating chicken alright, that's what I needed to know. Still grabbing the honey butter chicken biscuits, which apparently blew... Beach days are dangerous. I reflect my light like a walking LED. Nice. To what? Y'all are going off. Every time I turn my head to, like, go over the, the model. Omni, are you going to... See, they changed the day they were leaving last time, and I just couldn't swing it. Well, there might be, like, 3 now. But 2 for you. Type more so RM can't read all of chat. It could be worse. It could be like Asmon's chat, you know? I don't know how he does that. That dude is, like, very skilled at watching chat. 80% of storage used. Fuck you. If I redeem a tangent, would that mean I have to make him get back on task? No, because, like, a tangent... if you notice, there's a tangent, and then there's a directed, tangent. And one of those, you get to tell me what to talk about, and the other, I just pick something. HBCB? I don't even know what HBCB is, so yeah, of course I'm going to tangent on that, because I got to find out what that is, unless it's just an acronym for something I forgot. I do, folks. Not usually, but like right now, that's what's going on, because as soon as I turn my head, something interesting is happening. Honey butter chicken biscuit. But like, those are our 8 warning behaviors. Attack more likely when these happen. But if we don't notice these, we tend to also miss these. And then the attack happens. So let's go over our distal traits first. And the important thing to remember here is that these only get concerning when they arrive in groups. So it's kind of like being autistic. If you have like 1 autistic trait, you're normal. If you have 10 of them, distal trait 1, breathing, yeah. Yeah, distal. If you have 1 distal trait, you're probably normal. If you have a bunch of them, I wonder how many I have. Okay. So the first one is personal grievance and moral outrage. There's always an opportunity for that. It's also why down the radicalization path, moral outrage is used a lot, because it's really difficult to cause this in other people. This one's a bit easier to cause in others. Internet quiz flashbang. Why? If you score between X and Y. Feels like we're about to do one of those MySpace bulletins? Absolutely. So like a personal grievance is like you knew somebody who died in 9/11. That's a personal grievance. Like when we're talking about these threat models, the phrases they use for these traits are often understated, and it's also kind of like it's kind of the same as in like psychological traits. They're also, if you just read them as a layperson, they sound like really subdued. But when they say personal grievance, they're not talking about like this guy kicked my flowers over. But, you know, if you're mentally unstable, that actually could be your personal grievance. But we're more talking about stuff like, oh, a plane crashed into a building my uncle was in. I'm fucking mad now. So that's like a personal grievance. Moral outrage, I'm not sure I have to explain, because that one is more accurate to the colloquial usage. Love my water. Out of my water. I've already guzzled a whole 32 ounces of water. It hasn't even been 36 minutes into stream. That guy walked on my grass and stepped on a bee. Yeah, no, that's not the personal grievance unless you have one of the proximal warning behaviors that we'll talk about later, which is fixation. But fixation is a much the bees are not happy. So yeah, you've got to understand the difference between personal grievance and moral outrage. Moral outrage would be like, I think a good one was, remember, I say this like my chat's this old. A lot of chat is this old, a lot of them isn't. Like, remember in the 90s when, there was the Great Satanic Panic? That's a moral outrage. Who had the wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl? It was one of the Jacksons. I forget exactly which one because I don't really care about the Jacksons. But it was one of Janet. Okay. Damn it, Janet. That was a moral outrage. Charlie Kirk was a moral outrage. For the people who knew him, personal grievance. That sort of thing. If you were... There's a lot of people using the attacks on Iran. Wow, I tried to say both pronunciations at once and then butchered it. But if you're in Iran, or you're in the United States and you're an Iranian puppet, you're using the attacks on Iran as moral outrage right now. But those guys have been moving from moral outrage to moral outrage, which you can do. If you're trying to keep people riled up, what you do is you just, like, pick one of these, and when it goes out of fashion, because you can only stay outraged about one thing for so long unless you have a fixation, and you just move from moral outrage to moral outrage like this, and regardless of, like, whether this one was resolved or not, you just drop it. You probably saw that pattern, in the so-called, Summer of Love. So you had, like, COVID restrictions, and COVID restrictions were, like, simultaneously both of these. Thanks, sweetie. I would say a lot of parts of the political spectrum. Because if you were alive in the 80s, you lived through a lot of right-wing moral panics. This was a right-wing thing in the 80s. And if you're an Iranian apologist, you're also doing a right-wing. As much as it would annoy people waving those flags, the Iranian regime is an extremely right-wing regime. Which is why when you're quoting FBI statistics about how many attacks are right-wing versus left-wing, you got to be careful with which one is counted as what side, because, like, technically 9/11 was a right-wing attack. 9/11 was a right-wing attack. So in the FBI statistics, that counts as right-wing. So you gotta be careful reading those when you're trying to apply it to, like, who domestically is more dangerous. Constant state of moral panic since at least Occupy Wall Street. Oh, it goes way farther back than that. Yeah, we did consider Iranian regime right-wing, and they are. Like, they're anti, I don't even think their views really fit in the French which side of the house you're on, because that's what left wing and right wing are based on. I don't really think they fit in that model at all. But when you're talking about, like, traditional, or not traditional, but when you're talking about colloquial conceptions of what is left and right wing, like, the Iranians are, like, anti-women's rights, no showing skin in public, gays get thrown off of buildings. They just executed the 19-year-old soccer player for protesting. Like, he's been executed. Like, he was beheaded, like, was it yesterday or the day before? Like, he's just fucking dead. They executed him for protesting very publicly. And then they tortured him until he admitted guilt. Yeah, go back to the establishment of the Shah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you used to be able to just, like, go to Iran. You used to just be able to travel there and, like, hang out. It was like a touristy thing for a bit while the Shah was in power. Westerners could just go there. Kind of like Cuba. You could just go there. Hang out. It was safe to travel there, mostly. Not being able to do that, historically speaking, is very recent. But yeah, you bounce from moral outrage to moral outrage regardless of what the resolution was or wasn't. So I got sidetracked earlier. But what so, like, you had the COVID-19 lockdowns and the forced vaccinations in some cases. And so you had, like, people with a lot of both personal grievance and moral outrage. And then you had Summer of Love / BLM riots. What was the one immediately after that? Because there was one immediately after that. But, like, while all of this is going on, there's, like, a larger one. Because these can be nested. These can be nested. So you can have this larger moral outrage being sustained by, like, this one. And the thing about COVID-19 is it was a both sides things. Yeah, it was a both sides things. That was such a good psyop. And, like, I know a lot of people have, like, very personal damages done to them. I'm included in that. But you had both sides riled up in a moral outrage on that one. Because you had the people who were like, we can just go outside. What the fuck? You legally cannot quarantine people who are not sick, which is true. That was extremely illegal. You cannot quarantine people who are not sick. You cannot use quarantine powers to make people who are not sick stay in their homes and not go outside. But they did. And then they're like... Then they're talking about illegal detentions of illegal aliens not even 4 years later. 4 or 5 years later. So, yeah. That's fun. So it was, we can go outside if you want, what you're doing is extremely illegal, and the other side is like, if you guys would just be illegals without resisting, we could be past this pandemic because we totally trust this admitted liar in the Department of Health. It was a master class in just having everybody mad at each other at the same time for the same reason. So that was, you were in Rochester during COVID, and yeah, shoot. Ooh, wow, okay. Yeah, it was crazy. But we've been doing this for a long time. There were the moral panics in, like, the 80s, 90s. So that's like when, people would confiscate your Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards because, it was the work of the devil. Like, literally, because that's the devil's, game or something like that. And then, also D&D was part of that. And then, we had moral panics about nudity on television. So that's why, I forget exactly what year it was, but it was sometime during what I'll call the 70s, 80s, 90s triad, because, like, society jerked in one direction really hard during the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So I call them, like, the 70s, 80s, 90s triad. But, yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, 100% Satan, yeah. But, that's when we started getting laws about what you were allowed to show in, primetime television. That's when we really started getting the sanitized sitcoms. You guys know the ones I'm talking about if you're old enough to, have enjoyed or not enjoyed event television. God, now I have to explain event television to the youngsters. Shit. So, the way this used to work, imagine you go onto YouTube, right? You go onto YouTube, and you just let the algorithm take the wheel, and for every 12 minutes you watch of whatever the algorithm decides to show you, you have to sit through 3.5 minutes of unskippable ads, and then you get another 12 minutes of what the algorithm has decided to show you, and you have no control over this whatsoever. That's what TV used to be like. So, I stopped watching TV. Yeah. So did I. We have much better things to do now. Radios also did this. And, well, the TV guide didn't matter. Because just like radio, all of the channels, like, colluded so that their ads would run all at the same time. So, while you could catch one every so often, if an ad was running during the show you wanted to watch, and you switched if you switched the station, there were going to be ads on that one too. Yeah, there were 3 channels: ABC, CBS, and NBC. Or ABC, CBS, and PBS, depending on your age. If you count PBS as a channel. I tend not to. But you have ABC, CBS, and NBC. And there's 4 if you count PBS. But we don't count PBS. Alright, number 2. I'm pretty sure everybody understands personal grievance and moral outrage. This is one factor. Remember, to get on the watch list, you have to have several of these. You make an ideology your entire personality. I'm going to finish writing this down. An ideology is your whole personality is another trait. Do I have to explain? I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with this one. Gee, who does that? Right, yeah, moving on. Personality is both conspiracy theories and hentai. That technically does disqualify you from this trait, actually. But vegans! Yeah, there you go! I'm not going to ask your age, but are you old enough to know about the Greenpeace terrorists? Because Greenpeace had some literal terrorists. Like, vegan terrorists is not even a joke. That's a thing. Yeah, so, the Greenpeace people had, like, literal terrorists. Bankrolled by Bob Barker. I'm not even kidding. Bankrolled by the Price is Right guy. And others, but like Bob Barker was, yeah, they named one of the ships that they built to harass Japanese whalers in Japanese waters. They named it after Bob Barker. Now, that like there was the reason he was Mr. Spay and neuter all of your pets. We need those guys on the Chinese fishers, right? Right? I wouldn't mind some eco-terrorism on the Chinese fishers, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Greenpeace suddenly got on the Chinese illegal fishing fleets and took it to them, I'd be like, you know what? I don't like you all the time, but at least you're consistent. But guess what? Turns out the eco-terrorists are really just commies. So they don't care about the Chinese fishing fleets. I hope the model Rachel wasn't involved. You might want to look into the model Rachel. I'm not sure she, likes anything Bob Barker likes. R.I.P., but, like, I'm not sure they're on good terms. It's strange how China's always memory hold, especially with the climate people. Yeah, peculiar! Can you imagine if the furries were in on it too? Barkers. DQT? How, like, you're focused cutie, but, like, I want to call you DQT because that rolls off the tongue real well. Anyway, I have some bad news for you. I have some really bad news for you. But yeah, I would respect, I would just shorten it to cutie. Yeah. Hey, cutie. But, I would respect the eco-terrorists a lot more if they would actually go after the things that they can actually, make a difference on, instead of, like, harassing Japanese whaling ships that are, like, 5 times their size and trying desperately not to cut them in half. Which ended up happening. It turns out when you run in front of the bow of a huge vessel over and over again, you tend to get rammed. But we have to stop oil. Yeah, let's just dredge the entire Gulf of Mexico, and make it a coral graveyard, because they're in the middle of doing that. They're in the middle of, turning the entire Gulf of Mexico into a lifeless sea desert. Now that's the kind of ship girl I like, one that can split me in half. Same, pal. That's why I'm such a fan of the Alabama. She looks like she could split somebody in half. It's gonna take us a while to get through these 18, isn't it? I like this song too! The pre-BP oil spillers. Yeah. Alright. Alright, this one's going to sound strange, but the Trap 18 framework is actually designed to focus on the traits of solo attackers. So 3 is kind of confusing unless you understand that context, which is failure to affiliate with a radical / extremist group. So it's actually a warning sign if you're like, I love everything Hamas does, I want to fight for Hamas, Hamas is great, and then you don't formally associate with the group. That's actually a big warning sign for distal traits. I'm not going to Carrier Con. They're on the wrong coast. It's very expensive over there. Alright, we're gonna run an ad. You might not get it, though. You might not get the ad. Because of the way I've got my tags. Imagine getting denied by a terrorist group or... No, not denied. Like, not even applied. You don't even apply. You do not even attempt to affiliate with a radical group. That's what failure means in this context. Carrier Con needs to come to Alabama. Yeah. Yep. So apparently the amount of ads that I run, or that you see, so praising IS, but not actually being associated with it other than clout chasing on the internet. Yeah, Omni. Not that that sounds like any popular streamers I know. That don't have ads. Yeah, so I set up my tags specifically to try to minimize those as much as I could, and I'm loving that decision. Because I hate ads, and we all hate ads. But I clicked the affiliate program button, so now I have to figure out how to run as few of those as possible. I clicked the monetization button so that like I could have subs and channel points and cheers and, you know, bits and stuff. So if you go, I want to have subs and bits, both of which make Twitch money. If you say, I want those things, they're like, yeah, well, now you have to figure out how to run ads on your channel because that's a package deal. Which is just stupid to me. That's actually retarded. Like, that should not be a package deal. I should... Thanks for the glizzy, sis. Manually run 3 minutes every 5 minutes? Yeah. I F'd and now another 30 seconds. Oh, shit. But yeah, they're only giving you the Twitch Turbo ad because what happens, a little behind the scenes here, what happens is advertisers tell Twitch what their ads, what tags their ads are okay to run under. And like some advertisers will say, we don't want any of our products running on anybody's politics stream. Some advertisers will say, we don't want to run anything on, like, a lewd stream. And so on and so on. Yeah, Redeem does have a cooldown. But the amount of advertisers that are okay with both... The placement on that on my left screen was great because on my left screen I have like the full screen live cam and it was like on the center of my face. Thanks for the plink. But the amount of advertisers that are willing to run ads on both a political and an adult content stream is almost zero. So you can effectively turn your ads off by tagging your stream with both of those things. Now, if Twitch finds out you're doing that and that's not your content, they might actually remove those tags or, like, hit you with penalties. But, my stream actually does have both of those contents from time to time. It's not every stream, but, I do have that content, fairly frequently. So, cheat code. Every stream is politics porn. Yeah. Ooh. I can tangent you into that content, you sure can. As long as you're not blowing all of your points on Glizzy Sacrifice, which is, you know, that's fine. Give me the Glizzies. Something something Fansly, something something vegan eco-terrorists. You know what, Cutie? You're right. I have brought both of those up this stream. I should have realized that, but you're absolutely correct. I have to blow glizzies, bro. Last number must be 0. Fair. Alright. I'm talking too high because I'm too excited and too fast. So it's actually making my throat dry, even though I'm guzzling water like a fish. Go back to this one. Oh boy, chat. Oh boy, number 4. I'm just not even really gonna speak while writing this. I'll let this one... I'll let this one sit. I'll let the slowly writing it have the effect. Uh-oh! Exclamation mark fish, by the way, to engage with the fishing minigame. You got a coffee cup, cutie. But yeah, dependence on a virtual community, echo chambers. Hey, Reddit! What's up? What's up, Reddit? What's up, niche Discord community? Just definitely checked off number 4 on my MySpace quiz. Yeah. So belonging to a virtual community is not enough to trigger this one. You have to be dependent on it. So if your first thought was Discord groomers, congratulations, you understood the sentence. So when you, like, get into a Discord group and then you start having fights with your family because the Discord group is convincing you to have fights with your family, and then you have a falling out, and then the Discord group is like your entire friend group. I'm sure none of us have seen that person. That's what this is talking about. And if you're thinking, wow, that really might explain the shift in demographics in mass shooters over the last 10 years. You're absolutely right. Only every time I walk by a mirror. Ooh. E-kittens are different. But yeah, you would be absolutely correct. because in these groups, there are people who do get convinced. Like, one of my very first streams, I was talking about how being an online content creator made you vulnerable because depending on the type of content you're doing, and especially adult content, it can separate you from your real life social groups, which are actually very, very good at insulating you from predators. So if you have somebody trying to blackmail you as an adult content creator, but your family knows that you're an adult content creator, you're actually far less vulnerable to that blackmail than the other way around. So like when you're socially isolated in real life, you make yourself more vulnerable to getting groomed by online predators. That's exactly how Roblox became such a problem. Because it wasn't like they were having fights with their family so much on Roblox. It was because the parents were doing like the iPad kid thing where they just let Roblox be the parent. So it wasn't like a schism, like aggressive fallout there. It was more of a mutual, well, you're so distracted on Roblox that I can just pretend I don't have a kid and do all my adult stuff and not pay attention to you. Which, for some reason, there are parents that want to do that. I don't understand it, but they're out there. And so, like, in one case, we have, like, an aggressive form of this, and in the other case, we have a passive form of this. But, like, the child becomes dependent on this Roblox community. And as somebody... They aren't just out there, it feels like the majority. I kind of agree, sis. I mean, I knew a kid who had the Roblox treatment, but with WoW. Yeah, WoW's a good one too. Like anything that just keeps them occupied to the point that the parents can just breathe a bit. And then breathe a bit becomes, wow, I'll just let them play that game. It's like I don't even have a kid anymore and I can live like I used to. All I have to do is let them play the game. Hell yeah. And some parents think like that. And if you make certain decisions about holding two jobs and like being on the grind set mentality and going for the bag, you can be stressed enough that I can see you making these choices with your children. So I think those are part and parcel. Like, I think if you're on the huge grind set, get your bag thing and you decide to have kids, you are very likely to turn your kids into iPad kids. And you're basically handing them to the wolves because you want to be like a power couple with kids. That's not a good formula. Not gonna lie, there are times I wish my kids would just sit down and play video games. Yeah, we've all felt that way. But to achieve dependence on a virtual community, you've got to consistently do it. And I think my parents would have let this happen to me if online gaming was more of a thing when I was younger. Because they definitely let the video game consoles babysit us quite a bit. And as I got closer to moving out, and online gaming became a thing, they did straight up let me sit in my cave and play Neverwinter Nights for 8 to 12 hours a session. And they allowed my brother to do the same thing with World of Warcraft, and I believe also my sister. So I think my parents not being those parents, for me, was just a matter of timing, if I'm going to be honest. Well, yeah, my parents let me run outside all I wanted to, but were you winning? You totally got to wow it up? Okay. Yeah, I did ride my bike to the neighbors a few times, but I accidentally confessed to I confessed to misbehaving like a good little boy, and it made my parents forbid me from having those friends anymore. And since we were in a population density of like one every like 20 acres or so, I basically just did not have neighborhood friends anymore. So, congratulations, parents. I know you were trying to do what was right, but like you kind of fucked me over there. I literally fell asleep to the sound of you typing. Yeah, you did. Sister might not know this, but I actually, there were 3 separate people that attempted to groom me online, and, they almost succeeded. And I'm pretty sure the same thing happened to our brother. I'm almost, 100% certain. So there's that. So I've lived this a little bit. And I'm pretty sure it didn't. And then waifu got him, yeah. And I'm pretty sure the only reason it wasn't bad was literally just the timing. I mean, you read my entry message. Yeah, I did. Am I succeeding now that you're older? Call it. We gotta get the girls to Disney so we can gay it up at the house, man. We gotta do it. We gotta send them to Disney World. We gotta distract them. So yeah, number 4 is really fun. And I'm not just going to be repeating the things this doctor has said. There are some things about this doctor and his research that I do have comments on. But like, which Disney park though? Okay, so we're not actually sending them to Disney. What we're doing is we're getting them the multi-park pass to Universal for the Harry Potter total experience, because that is currently the best park in Florida. Look, waifu likes to sign the girls up for a lot of shit. I can't keep track of it sometimes. Universal is great. The Jaws ride was great. I'm sad that they got rid of it. I understand it was old and it was time, but the Jaws ride was awesome. So was the King Kong ride. I'm not sure how long that lasted. It definitely did not have the duration that the Jaws ride did, but the King Kong ride was really good back in the day. Back when where's the Jurassic? I never got to go on the Jurassic Park one, so I can't really say how that was. I never got to go on the original Jurassic Park ride. It sounds like I missed peak. It sounds like I missed peak. No, I didn't get to. The King Kong ride was great, though. Oh my goodness. I also want to try, like, the official flavor of, like, the official rendition of butterbeer. I need it. I need it. But, one thing that was really great about the rides back then is they were willing to throw fire in your direction and have it close enough to be actually hot. I'm not sure that's a thing anymore, but it used to be, and it was great because, like, when you feel the heat of those propane jets, your brain's like, danger real now, and it really makes the ride very immersive. Yeah, original Jurassic Park had heat and fire. Yeah, I think those rides were like a part of the era where they were willing and allowed to do that. I don't think insurance really allows them to do that anymore, if I'm being honest. So I think all 3 of those rides were in that vein of like, we're going to let the animatronics get really close to you, throw you around, and throw fire in your face, and it's going to be fucking awesome. And between that and an honest-to-God roller coaster, I preferred the one where it was much safer, but you were getting, like, jerked around and hot. That was way scarier than any roller coaster I've been on, and I've been on the so-called gnarly ones. You didn't even have to redeem Tangent. God damn it. I made my own once with butterscotch and... Oh, that sounds really cool. That sounds really great. I hate the roller coaster thing that only goes straight up and down. Yeah, those suck. Glizzies. I might have to put a sound alert on those. A really short one. That way if it gets spammy, it's not distracting. I am getting blown up in DMs. What the fuck is this?
Not me.
Oh, while we were at the pizza place. Thank you, Sylph. While we were at the pizza place. One of the waitresses who totally wasn't listening to our entire conversation because it was so interesting. Finally admitted that they overheard us talking the moment I started talking about World of Warcraft, because it did come up. It did come up. Why did what I DM'd you remind you of Pizza Place? Because WoW came up at Pizza Place today. It came up at Pizza Place today. Fucking Moonguard. Because the person who walked up was talking about the Goldshire experience. Because what we were talking about is how, like, people were meeting on WoW, which, Waifu just ran like she heard kids doing bad things. Lion's Pride. See, I actually don't know what the Goldshire connection is. I think she thought that I was talking about modern, recent, within the last 10 years WoW, and she just did not let me get a word in edgewise to be like, I have not played since the original Burning Crusade. I don't know what you're talking about. We did not have the Goldshire debauchery back then. At least not that I was aware of. Imagine running when you could just take the chancla off and yeet it around corners. We have a very windy floor plan. There's not a whole lot of lines of sight. Oh, I just wasn't aware? Okay, so that was always a thing. I was too busy being Melee Hunter to notice. I was too busy being Melee Hunter to notice. I killed people, though! Alright, so the WoW vets, they're correcting me in real time. Okay. I could tell by this person's age, it didn't matter. The WoW I experienced is not the WoW they experienced. I killed people by the power of they never saw it coming. Yes, but I was good at that. That's like my thing. Ambushing is my thing. You act like I was doing very simple stuff to get that done. Didn't they come out with that do it like a druid? Yeah, they did. They did. This is also during my time. I'm gonna turn that up a bit. This song's a bit quiet. That's gonna compete with my voice a little, but I don't care for this one. Tom Petty. All right, remember, you have to have a lot of these to be worth watching. Thwart it. I don't know why they word it like this. I'm not going to word it the way they did. Professional ball dropping. I think this one's kind of related to number 4. Tom Petty might have forgotten the line, man. He might have forgotten the line. More glizzies. Professional ball dropping. This is when you let number 4 affect your work. I'm sure we've never known somebody who is dependent on a virtual community to the point that they let it affect their work. No one has ever slacked off at work to do WoW stuff. The original wording of number 5 was thwarting of occupational goals. Significant setbacks in education, career, anything that is not covered in the NEET. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if it's covered in the NEET acronym, or scratch that, reverse it. If you're in education, employment, you know, or training. So if you become a NEET because of number 4, that's basically what that's saying. Reverse it, teen? Yeah, kinda. That's the age group that's kind of the most vulnerable to this stuff. So, yes. What's pretty neat? Oh, no, god damn it, he got me. How did I... Moving on. Really? I didn't notice that one the first time. Most of the training was on the proximal warning behaviors. We actually did not go over distal traits very much. So some of these I'm actually kind of seeing for the first time. So changes in thinking and emotion isn't the one that was surprising me. It's number 7 that surprised me. And we're going to talk about number 7 because that has implications. Changes in thinking and emotion, but like specifically becoming rigid and dogmatic in your thinking. In fact, I'm going to replace this. We're just going to say dogmatic behavior. One thing I hate is like academic language, because that only helps academics. 7's gonna get cam covered. Okay. So what we're gonna do about that... Pew! There. Honey, I shrunk myself. So, number 6 is dogmatic behavior. Shrinky dink. See. I've rediscovered this music a little bit because my mother kind of ruined Evanescence for me. And my sister can tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Me over here, like, what do canines have to do with this subject? Yeah. So, number 6 is basically you become really rigid in your thinking. It becomes very black and white, and it's oriented in, like, a, moralistic truisms. She did. Yeah, she sure did. I've had to, like, am I okay to listen to this again? Like, it was about 10 years ago I was able to listen to Jimmy Buffett again, because she ruined Jimmy Buffett for me, too. Which is just, that's a travesty. Jimmy Buffett's great. When I got older, I realized I did like the Rolling Stones. Yeah, I had the same, yeah, my mother. Oh my goodness. She would never let us listen to the fucking music. She was a singer, but she couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. And if she heard the music you were listening to, she would stop whatever she was doing, barge in your room, and just like sing over what you were listening to. And it was just so exhausting. So we weren't allowed to like... This is one of the reasons like we got so edgy, is because that was the only music she wouldn't sing along to. It was like one of our, I'm not going to listen to the popular shit. It wasn't because it was popular. It's because my mom would adopt it and ruin it over and over and over and over. Yeah, we literally got into super video game music because no lyrics. Yeah, another tangent. But like, RM's death metal phase? No, it was like really esoteric, but yeah, kind of edgy shit. But mostly, the bulk of it was video game music, but the stuff that had lyrics, that's one of the reasons I liked Green Day, is because my parents just did not like the lyrics to Green Day. No, K-pop was involved. That's, well, not K-pop exactly, but I think that's how, my oldest younger sister, for fuck's sake, my oldest younger sister got into Duran Gray. Because if it wasn't video game music, it was music from anime with Japanese lyrics. Yeah, K-pop wasn't as exposed in the States, so it was J-pop. Because mom could not sing the Japanese lyrics. So that's how we got into that. That's how we got radicalized into being weebs. Was my mother. Dad was cool. He was goated on the Super Scope 6. Oh my god, that man. I have never seen anyone as good at Super Scope 6 as my dad was. There was a day other brother and I were in the van with mom and she started singing Rammstein. We were done immediately. Oh my god. Ha, get good, mom. I sing Japanese music with my kids. Nero, you can carry a tune and you probably let your kids listen to music without you singing. Like, I cannot express to you enough how obnoxious my mother was. And she was being obnoxious on purpose. I didn't recognize it at the time. I thought that was like her, like, kind of autistic quirk. No, she was doing this on purpose. Maybe that's a topic for tomorrow when I'm talking with my sister. I'm obnoxious on purpose too. It's called streaming. Now you are behaving like my mother. I will only rage. Good. It'll make for some entertaining listening. Anyway, on to number 7. Not RM and his sister discovering their traumas on stream because of an overlooked detail that got brought up. What is HBCB, goddammit? Are you baiting me for, like, interview content now? 'Cause based if so. Based if true. We discovered traumas on stream last time, too. I'm gonna start calling these therapy sessions. Honey butter chicken biscuit! Oh, okay. How do you fall for that twice? Because I didn't see him explain it the first time. That was one of the things I missed when I was, like, reading my shit. So, yeah. Honey butter chicken biscuit. Get a black couch for stream. Sylph. There is the student ghetto. I bet we could find one on the side of the road in the student ghetto. They always seem to have, like, those cheap black couches. They always do. And it's about time for them to move out for the semester. I don't want bed bugs. Fair enough. I think bed bugs would be the least of your worries with those. Allie would love to get you a black couch to have your sister on. We are not doing that. We are not going there. Oh, be good, Allie. Be good. Of course there's waifu. Bring me one too. Oh, I thought you meant a casting couch, not a chicken biscuit. Bring me a casting couch. That's not out of her character. I am absolutely justified in assuming she meant the casting couch first. I can literally get a black fleece throw to drape on your current couch and pretend. Do it. Do it. We're gonna sit on the casting couch for stream tomorrow. Do we need to get, like, 5 cardboard cutouts of dudes? Or do we just... We don't have time to pull that off, but, like... Yeah, let's make the couch black. We literally have black minky fabric. Not enough to cover the whole couch, we don't. Oh god, not the Perry Piper. Yeah, we could do the Perry Piper and the couch. I have so much cardboard at work next time. Yeah, to stand behind the couch. Yeah. Not with that attitude. God damn it. Chad has the single brain cell. I can pull off 5 dudes pretty quick. I know you can, Nero. So 7! Alright. What does this actually say? This actually just says incel. Failure of sexual intimate pair bonding. 6, 7... God damn it. I actually don't care about those numbers that much. My son, though, oh my god, that triggers him. But no, they worded it as failure of sexual intimate pair bonding. We can call it incel. We can call it forever alone. That's what it was called in my day. Was forever alone. Close that A. But yeah, apparently not getting any is a distal trait. And if you think about it, that makes a whole lot of sense. Because some of these attacks literally are about, like, I bet the girls will finally notice me if I pull something like this. Like, that's literally the motivation for some of them. I wonder if they've ever tried being less shitty people. 5 glizzies to go. That's a lot of glizzies. You're gonna make me sick. So if you go to 8... Now, remember, it's not... Being an incel by itself is not cause for alarm. But, like, if you're an incel and you have dogmatic behavior... So let's say you're an incel, and then you start getting into the red pill verse, and then you allow the red pill verse to socially isolate you, and your only friends are in, like, a red pill Discord server. That's when we're starting to get to the point of, we might want to watch this guy. For those of you who've been seeing Homath crash out recently, if you look at this list, you'll see why I was starting to get worried. Don't worry, they're the fast glizzies, not the slow glizzies that kill you. Did you just compare glizzies to, like, pugs? You could have just said, if you're in the red pill verse, and the rest would have been implied. You're right, but I wanted to be thorough. Really, the only thing that doesn't satisfy is number 3. So, like, you would have to do Final Fantasy VII pugs. I compared glizzies to the fish you feed sit. Oh, god damn it, you're right. It's the slow glizzies that kill you. The fast ones are fine. Yeah, We don't talk enough, apparently. Otherwise, I would have caught that immediately. 8. Yermin Hera. Really, that one just says mental disorders, history of current major history of or current major psychiatric issues. Like, that one's pretty self-explanatory. In my opinion, the DSM-5 makes this harder to diagnose because the DSM-5 pathologizes a lot of normal behavior. So this is actually harder to spot because this exists. This is looking like a VTuber trait list. I was wondering when you would get... I was wondering when someone would notice that and, like, put it in those words for me. Everyone has a mental disorder. Yeah, like, if you read the DSM-5, like, there is literally not a normal person. It just doesn't exist anymore. Did you get angry because somebody did something that would be predicted with high confidence to make anyone angry? Time to put you on anger suppressant pills. You've got executive dysfunction. You have emotional dysregulation. I started considering VTubers at number 4. Yeah. This is all... Number 4 is pretty big for them. Like, it's pretty big. Like, it's a problem. 7 and 8 locked it in. Yeah. Yeah. Did you get angry because Mario and Luigi pulled invincible stars out of their ass? Must be a neurodivergent. Oh god, remember? So my dad spent 2 years making fun of us because we said that the computer players in Mario Kart, like the original one, were cheaters. And then he finally sat down and played the game. And he apologized. It was the smuggest I've ever been. Well, maybe not ever, but it's up there. It's up there. This went on for years. Let's see. This one I have an issue with, but I understand why it's here. This is actually what separates people who plan terror attacks from common criminals. Is that you need to fundamentally be a creative person to think up and craft an attack scenario. So it's not causal, it's just correlative. And that's why I have a little bit of a problem on this list, because these are all simply correlations. But this one seems like kind of a reach. I understand why it's there. Because I wouldn't even call it a distal trait. I would call it there's a threshold of intelligence and creativity below which you cannot conceive of a novel terrorist attack. I don't consider myself creative, and I've thought of plenty of stream ideas. Yeah, but that's not an attack. That's not, I've got to get a weapon. I've got to get ammunition for that weapon if it requires ammunition. And then I'm going to use that to attack this specific location at this specific time, because that's when the most people are there. And in order to maximize my damage, I'm going to take this route at this time of day. And like this is a plan, and that's part of the proximal warning behaviors that we'll get into later. But there is a threshold of creativity and innovation below which you cannot you cannot plan these attacks. And I think my music just cut off for, like, no reason. Yeah, it sure did. Don't speak didn't speak. This one's a banger. This one's a banger. It's also very appropriate. Yeah, I gotta turn it down. But this one is about what we're talking about. So it's apropos. This one's big. All right, now, if it wasn't clear to my sister before, you know someone with virtually all of these traits. And that's not comfortable for you, but you know it's correct. On to proximal warning behaviors. I am now uncomfortable, yes. It's RM. All right, so I'm going to skip that one because it's the big one. That's a mystery mouse Cthulhu we can use later. Oh boy, glizzies! So the first proximal warning behavior, like, after your distal traits, this is what really starts pegging you on the this is how you end up on the radar, and they don't stop you anyway. And then after the attack, the FBI gets to tell you about how this was a person known to us. So, it starts pegging you. Fixation. This is where your preoccupation with some of the stuff we talked about in distal characteristics becomes pathological. What does pathological mean? Because sometimes... Because everybody knows... Fosh. If you're... Yeah, Fosh. Sylph isn't in on that joke. Godge. Fosh. But because therapy language has pervaded the public lexicon so badly, we really have to define pathological. No, you don't have to be on the joke to enjoy Fosh, but that was introduced to a lot of people in this group a long time ago. But fixation or pathological means that it is affecting either your professional life or your ability to hold stable relationships. Yeah, you know, like roughly 2 years. Pathological is when you do something I don't like online. Yeah. But yeah, pathological is basically the behavior is associated with chronic and measurable negative life outcomes, essentially. So you stop being employable. You stop being able to relate to others. Your relationships fall apart. Stare. You drift from job to job. Fascism is when that bitch is hotter than me is one of my favorite lines. That's great. Anyway, pathological fixation or preoccupation, which is basically just rewording what a fixation is. And specifically, it is with a person, cause, or grievance. Fixation is... yes, it was Sylph. Fixation, I think I can put into best context by going back to, like, the previous slide. You remember these 10 things. Alright? You remember these 10 things. You go back to this slide and imagine a VTuber or streamer superfan in that context. In that context. So think about a VTuber or Flesh streamer superfan and then think about those 10 proximal traits. Which is why when I was going through this training, I was like, wait a minute. We might be able to use... Because remember, for those of you who were there for my first couple of streams, you'll remember I was trying to figure out a way we could model a warning, and like an early warning system for like these stalker weirdos that keep happening. And I think it's this. I think this is like really close, if not already there. These might be the same people. This might be the same neurosis. So, like, the path to becoming an obsessed fan may literally be an identical mental pathway to becoming a terrorist. Well, yeah, sorry, like, some people can just... You know. I've had these moments as well. It's like, you know, like, this person is off. But when you expand that to, like, an institutional level, you have to have a framework that you can explain to others who aren't this way. Yeah, I bet you do, man. But, like, which one caused what? Because I'm kind of the opinion you might have had an aptitude for this that helped you through that experience. So everyone we think could be a terrorist, we introduce them to Twitch and we'll save some towers? No, but funny. But no, remember, this is about lone wolf actors specifically. That's why there was that line in Distal Characteristics talking about their failure to join those groups. That was talking about their failure to join those groups. That's why that's there, is because this framework is about finding those lone wolves, because we already know how to, like, infiltrate organized networks and start identifying the members of that network. The lone wolves are real dangerous precisely because they're lone wolves. We don't really have proximity warnings that they exist via their social contacts. So, like, when you find a nest of terrorists, you find, like, the whole nest of terrorists. But the lone wolf is not giving the warning signs that law enforcement and agencies are used to having. Just like a stalker. Exactly. Yeah. So you're starting to understand why that light bulb went off. I should be because in elementary school I made a bomb joke and the school gave my information to counterterrorism orgs, and I know this because they told my parents they did that. There was a period shortly after 9/11 where a lot of people ended up on lists they really should not be on. I'll put it that way. There's a reason that hyper awareness is actually a pathology, and it's because of shit like that. You would think that, oh, this person's been traumatized so much they're now hyper vigilant. That gives them superpowers. No, that is a big debuff that causes relationship issues and the inability to participate in society at large. Like hyper vigilance is bad, and it's how, oh, that was before 9/11. That's weird, actually. That's actually weird. It is a good question whether it was after Columbine, but even if so, that's downright weird. Like, most people around that time didn't even know a counter-terrorism team even existed. Like, I'm gonna be real. And then losing those relationships makes you actually more vulnerable. Absolutely, which is why it was like the first thing I talked about when talking to like the things that make you more safe as a streamer are the things that you toss first. And that's why I focused on those in like my first streams, is because people really underestimate how effective their social circles are in protecting them from these sort of things. Yes, the government watchdogs were around before people knew, but a lot of, like, he was directly reported by the school. That's why that's weird to me. Because that means the people that reported him knew. So, yeah, like, I think the awareness in the general public of those groups, of those government agencies, was very low. Depending on the state, yeah. Spicy is the baby. Yes, absolutely. Spicy is definitely the baby of the group. But yeah, so you get fixation. That's a big one. Some of these are bigger than other. There's like a big four that have a much higher positive correlation as a group with attackers that actually occurred than the others, and fixation is one of those big four. Take the W plus. Spicy is the baby. Is that why he's always trying to shove things in his ass? First of all, that's stolen valor. That's stolen valor. Let's see. Identification. Yeah, we all know who holds the one cock ring of power here. Identification, or at least we should. I remember tracking Red Brigade stories in Munich Olympics hostage story. Yeah! People... Somebody made a really good point a few weeks ago, and it's something I always understood, but I hadn't heard it phrased this way, and I think I will use this phrasing going forward. It's like, the Middle East seems to be the only region of the planet where, when they lose a conflict, they send terrorists out globally. We don't have global Japanese terrorists, and we drop 2 nukes on them. We don't have global Venezuelan terrorists. We don't, like, not at scale. We don't have, global Zulu terrorists. We don't have, like, who else? We don't have global Polish terrorists and they've been like run over in 2 world wars as like the first country to get run over. Like, that's because America never loses. Not militarily, we don't. Nintendo is a global Japanese terrorism. Caught. That's my whole thesis, man. You just broke my whole thesis. Identification. Self-identifying as a fighter, warrior, soldier, martyr, or agent of change. So you could claim you're like God's soldier. Freedom fighter. There we go. That's a good one. Some people just straight up use the term martyr, and that's not just like a Middle East thing. Longtime domestics will use that one too. Pariah. Aggressive self-aggrandizement. Nice alliteration there. Is that an alliteration? It's close enough. I like the phrase. I identify as lacking enough coffee for coherency. Coherency might be the biggest word I've seen you use in months. That might be the most... That is probably the most well-constructed sentence I have seen you type in years. Maybe you should lay off the coffee more. Like, that's a sentence my sister would say. Minus the coffee part. She might say, like, energy drink or ghost or whatever. Yeah, waifu is cute when she's smart. She can do it. Like, she has flashes of it occasionally, and it's just like, ugh. It's like when, Ed Singledy says something, like, really intelligent. I don't know if they've actually made him do that in the show, but they should have for comedic effect at least once. It's like, what the fuck did you just say? Yeah, it's like, it's the classic trope. Holy shit, waifu typed a sentence? I know, Plaus. I know. Let's see. Novel aggression. Not all. And this is one of the weaker correlations, by the way. But if you see it in somebody, pay attention to this. So a lot of people that go down this route have actually never committed violence before, like, not really. And they will start testing themselves. They'll say, like, okay, if I decide I want to do this, can I really pull the trigger? And they might start targeting animals at first, or commit acts of random violence, just like out of fucking nowhere. And what they're doing is they're testing their resolve. It's like, how much do I really believe this? Can I really do it? Because they don't want to do all this planning, spend all this money, drive up to the school, and then, like, lose their nerve. Because in a lot of ways, this is an ego thing for them, and that would just, like, make the problem worse instead of better. It would hurt their identification to fail to be able to go through with it. So they'll start having novel aggression. They'll go manic. This one is one of the strong ones. They'll go manic. Hyperactive. Never resting. Less available. Like they're just constantly preoccupied with something. This is not only a strong correlation, it's your sign that an attack is imminent. Because the reason this occurs is because they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. If they are here... Damn, if only they all tried, failed, and killed themselves out of shame and saved everyone a lot of pain. Yeah. Yep. I don't think you had to break up those sentences into two. Anyway.
Wanted to.
Anyway. The reason they're going manic is because they're running out of time. Like, the deadline's approaching. And so, like, this isn't, like, true mania, but it presents as mania. So, you'll see the same behavior in somebody with, like, a work deadline. You'll see this behavior in somebody with any kind of deadline that they don't feel like they're gonna hit. That's coming up. And the same thing is true here. So, like, if you've got somebody that has, like, a lot of these, and you start noticing hyperactivity, an attack may be imminent. Like, you are out of time. Like, you are at the period where you have to make a choice whether or not you're going to send a tip to law enforcement / the FBI, and if you decide you're going to do that, you need to be like, by the way, they're hyperactive. If you do not check them out soon, and I mean like today soon, something very bad might happen. Leakage is a funny term. Don't know why they picked it. This is actually very weakly correlated. This is weakly correlated. But it is correlated. This is when they start communicating intent. So, in some of these, like, school shootings and stuff, they'll communicate intent on, like, social media and stuff like that. But that can also be a sign that they're not going to do it and that they're crying for help. Because a lot of the attacks they don't have leakage. And that's actually related to number 6. But if somebody has experienced leakage, basically, the reason that's on there is because if you see that, you have to take it seriously, because you can't sort out which one's the poisoned M&M and which one that you can eat, essentially. So that's reportable. If somebody tells you that they have the intent or are planning or they've got a sufficient grievance, you have to take that seriously and you have to report it. The next one is like that, but like turned to 11. And that's a directly communicated threat. This one's also weak. It's even weaker than leakage because, like, leakage can be unconscious. Like, there's literally no difference in communication between the I'm going to shoot up this school at 4 o'clock fake threat to get an exam canceled and the real one. So this one's weakly correlated. It's just like number 5. If you see it, you have to take it seriously. Every single time. Last resort. Or this is the only way. That's how you should think about last resort. No non-violent options remain on the table. Stare. 8. This is the big one. Some of these have been pretty strong. This is the big one. If you see this, it is time to call the police. Okay? Pathway. I don't think... Did I really say that 5 times? Pathway. This is material research, planning, and preparation for an attack. Even if it's framed as like a joke, like, what if? Which sucks, because this is kind of part of my job, so like... Somebody who doesn't really understand what this is might clock me. Because I'm talking to the SOC, the Security Operations Center. I'll come up with a scenario we should test against, and I'll tell that... And I'll tell that to the SOC so that they can do scenario testing. So I constantly have to be in pathway mode to get this done. That's kind of the trouble. This is another bad one. This is one of the reasons why the people who are watched the hardest are the security people. Is because we're kind of like bathed in this all the time. What, like, our primary... yeah, see, this is why all veterans are watched. Just by the way, this is why all veterans are on a list. I know you're on so many lists, but yeah, that's why we end up on lists, is because our job is to think like the bad guy, and if you do that enough, you might just become a bad guy. Because we have this all the time. So if we get radicalized, this is pre-existing. Security ops that get radicalized are very, very dangerous people. And they're watched pretty hard. The trick is to radicalize yourself. Yeah, let's talk about some criticisms, actually, because I've talked about the framework. It's a pretty good framework. But the good doctor has made some comments, that I think there are some gaps in understanding. But I need to pee. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to turn the music up, and like, I'm going to take 5, and then we're going to get into my criticisms. Nice song to come back into. Yeah, let's fish. Let's fish. This one will be like mostly verbal because like I got that stuff out of the way. So we're going to get into criticisms and then we're going to get into like how to use this. So I'll bring this back when we get into like how to use this and specifically in a streamer context because I think this is a little more obvious how to use in real life. But for now, we're going to talk about criticisms. So let me turn the music down. That's actually competing with my voice a bit at this volume. All right. There we go. What is a Oreo Chromis? It's like a rainbow Oreo cookie. So I don't know if he was just trying to downplay the relevance of the phrase, which would be a really unprofessional thing to do, so I don't think he was doing that. But during the presentation, Dr. Malloy brought up the fact that Ted Kaczynski, not Ted Kaczynski, god damn it, I always mix those two up. The Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber, was wearing a shirt with Abraham Lincoln's picture on it that said, like, Sic Semper Tyrannis, or always, as always, to tyrants, essentially. Yeah, Oklahoma City. And the doctor says, I'm not sure what he meant by that. You talked to your dad about both of them today. Put Nero on a list. But he indicated that he didn't know what the point of that shirt was. And I think that might expose a gap. No, he translated it. He knew what it meant. But, like, I think we have a normie problem in threat assessment. That feels concerning. Yeah, I think we have a normie problem in threat assessment. First of all, this doctor is... I think he qualifies as elderly. He's definitely an older individual. I think he's actually, like, downright elderly. But they don't really... Kaczynski killed more Epstein people than the government has. I wouldn't know, Nero, but probably. We'll leave that in the realm of opinion because I don't know. But I'm going to say I want to agree with that. Academics never understand real threats. I don't know. I think the threat model that we talked about today is actually really good. But it has gaps. And academics have very large gaps that you could drive an explosive truck through. I think his problem is that it might not occur to him. And, like, this is his model. That's the thing. Like, he is the primary founder of this model. It is his. So it's weird to me that but they missed the boat applying it. Yeah, it's weird to me he didn't understand the point of that shirt. And I think it is so far out of the Overton window of a boomer to think that anyone could think of Abraham Lincoln as a tyrant that you can put it on a shirt and they don't get it. You can literally put, as always to tyrants, under a picture of Abraham Lincoln, and they don't understand that you're calling Abraham Lincoln a tyrant. So, maybe he thought that the guy thought that he was Abraham Lincoln and that he thought Abraham Lincoln killed a lot of tyrants. Maybe he thought that was a possibility. Which, lol. The War of Northern Aggression. Yeah, but that's not constrained to Southerners. There's a lot of academic, level opinion that basically says the same thing. So it was really weird for him to, that's why I'm defaulting to, like, it would be really unprofessional, but is he, like, trying to delegitimize that attitude? That would be a really weird thing in, like, a threat assessment presentation to do. That would be a very odd thing to do, but I think I would be more comfortable with it than literally not understanding that there's a group of people who believe that Abraham Lincoln is a tyrant. Because that's a gap in your threat modeling if you can't come to terms with that. And this isn't in isolation. I mentioned this before, but I'll mention this again for the purpose of this specific context. I was talking to a researcher who was trying to look at 4chan archives, essentially, and see if he can't tease out patterns of posting that indicate that an attack is about to happen. Or these researchers more broadly will focus on 4chan and places like 4chan as places that breed hate. But what I had to point out to this guy, after seeing, I believe, this same doctor not really understand this, is that if you're radicalizing yourself, you put on blinders. And I'll get to the point. The researcher did not know. He literally ingested tens of thousands of 4chan messages, massaged them through a data model, blah, blah, blah. He was completely unaware that in Poll, there's a counterculture and a strong counterculture to committing violent acts that assumes that anybody who's telling you to actually go out and commit violence is a federal agent. He was completely unaware of that dynamic. And I'm like, dude, that is a big gap for somebody who's researching Poll to have. You need to put this glowies thing in your filter, and you need to start looking at glowy posts, because what you're missing here is that the people radicalizing themselves are cherry picking the content of the board. The board didn't radicalize them. They are on the board because they are radicalized. And our researchers don't know this. They don't know this basic fact, is that when you see somebody going, yeah, people trying to convince you to do violence are federal agents, if you're trying to radicalize yourself, you will ignore those posts. And you can't say that's not part of the board culture. But that's what the researchers do. They'll be like, 4chan is causing the radicals because they're exposed to these posts. It's like, well, if they're exposed to all of these posts, they're also exposed to the posts telling them, don't do the violent stuff. One glizzy redeem to go before you're at peace. Nice. There's groups that can identify George Washington as a tyrant. Yeah, absolutely. Abraham Lincoln did not make anybody free their slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation was literally just that. A proclamation. It was not a law. It was not legislation. It wasn't even gussied up as an executive order. It did not even free the slaves that were in the North. I forget which state it was. It might have been New York, actually. But sometime after the Civil War, I believe New York still had a policy of sending captured slaves back down south. And like it was like a problem. It's like, why is this still on your books, guys? But what the Emancipation Proclamation was actually about was recruiting black soldiers from the South to encourage them to escape and come to the North to be soldiers. At the Battle of... And the reason that is because the North liked to use black soldiers as cannon fodder. They liked to do that. They did that at Natural Bridge. They couldn't make any headway into Natural Bridge because there was a very defensible position there with grape shot, and they couldn't put big boats up that river. So what they did was they sent all the African American soldiers first to go into the meat grinder. And of course, once they realized the extent that they were in a meat grinder, a lot of them deserted. And usually I have a big distaste for deserters. But when I read about Natural Bridge, and I'm like, duh. Duh. I can't really hold it against them. Because the people that didn't desert, they're on the memorial. All right, my voice is getting a little rough, so I'll try to wrap this up. Because I've got to have voice for tomorrow. That's kind of important, because I will be talking even more. Like, let's be real. One of our schedules, either me or my sisters, but one of our schedules will have to force us to stop talking. So, we all know that RM doesn't wrap it up. Got to keep that throat in good shape. That's absolutely correct. So, how do we apply it? Like, I think it's a little obvious, but let's come up with some examples. Now, I like him a lot. I'm gonna couch this with I like him a lot, and I think he's on the harmless side of having these traits. But the hot dog guy, for those of you who know, the hot dog guy, he has a lot of these. He has a lot of these. I think we did good on calling it once we circled back on something for like the 10th time. We're looping! All the loops. Hot dog guy, yep. Oh god, what was his name? How could I forget his name? Hot dogs and applesauce. No. So there was this guy in a community we used to be part of. Some of us are still there, actually. Yeah, Raptor! Yeah. Hot Dog Man. He got Talk of Hot Dogs banned. Which sucked, because that was such a good bit. It was such a good bit. But he was a bit obsessive about it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But I think it was an example of how you could be, like, you could have several factors out of these... like, this is an example of he got bits banned. Yeah. It was funny because it was obsessive, I agree. But, like, I think he's a good example of, like, having a few traits out of this list doesn't make you a risk factor. You have to have a lot of them. So, like, he didn't have an ideology that was his whole personality. He didn't have personal grievance or moral outrage that we knew of. He didn't have failure to affiliate with a radical group. He might have had a dependence on a virtual community, but I'm not so sure about that, because people like that, people who are doing bits, tend to have social support elsewhere, or they wouldn't be able to keep up the bit because they would need their real social support from that group. He affiliated. We are not a radical group. I mean, you don't. All right, what he's done in publicly. How about we put it that way? We don't know that it affected his professional life. We don't know that it, like, as far as I could tell, he was just doing the bit and otherwise led a pretty normal life. Obviously, he had creativity and innovation. The DSM-5 is going to guarantee he's got something. His behavior is a bit dogmatic. Sure, that was like the whole bit, though. But you see what I mean? Like, you've got to have a lot of these for this framework to work. You're married. You're basically a mythological creature in the VTuber scene. Apparently, Kirsche has a lot of married chatters, which makes sense to me because she has the best Oilers. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like her community engagement ratios are like through the fucking roof. Like, Kirsche's Oilers oil. So she has more giving per chatter than, like, I don't want to say anyone, but she's up there. Drowning in slaves every 5 minutes. Her redeems are something else, man. I do like Butterdog. Butterdog is the best. But yeah, she's got some wild redeems. Yeah, these married guys throwing money at their entertainment. Yeah, well, it's because we're stable. That's the thing. That it's because we have stable lives. That's who your Oilers are going to be. So it doesn't surprise me that Kirsche has a lot of married chatters. Stable, clueless. A higher percentage of stability. Because you have to be a certain percentage of stable to keep up with a marriage over the long term. And that sort of stability also tends to lead to job opportunities and stable employment. Haha, joke's on you, I'm married and unstable. Yeah, sure, buddy. When we're talking about instability, we're talking about not being able to hold down the job you are holding down. Like, that's literally part of the definition. If you are holding down a job for multiple years and you're not, like, on a shit list, that is the definition of stable. Not how you feel in your head, not haha, my brain is a mess, not haha, you really don't want to be in my head right now, but like, the proof is in the pudding, essentially, and the same is true from a psychological evaluation standpoint. If you are holding down a job, the same job, for multiple years in a row, you are by definition stable. He isn't unstable, he is reliably infested with brainworms at all times. No, everyone loves me, I just don't understand why. Case in point. That was a great back and forth. That was always like, did we rehearse that? Like, that was good. But yeah, like, you're talking about really unstable individuals. And when these individuals, like, I think VTubers, especially VTubers, but like streamers in general that have communities, we all know when the weird guy walks in. You can feel it. It's palpable when the weird guy shows up. Something's off about him. And you just gotta be more willing to pull the trigger immediately in those cases. Yeah, the vibe shifts. Because that weird guy is this guy. That's having these traits is what makes him feel weird and out of place. That's what causes that feeling. Your brain is picking up on this, like your limbic system is picking up on this before your executive functions do. That's what gut feelings are. It's not like that you magicked a feeling out of the ether. It's that you have parts of your brain that you're not consciously aware of, and they have figured something out that is bad, and they are telling you. That's what gut feelings are. That's why in every single... What do you mean this guy is not the... Oh, you're talking about... I thought you were talking about the music. Every anti-victimization training that you will get from law enforcement, one of the bullet points will be trust your gut feeling. Every single one. Every single anti-victimization training will have that line somewhere. Well, yeah, behaviors speak louder than words, obviously. And your limbic system will pick up on those more. Because what's going on in people who are like neurotypical, hate that phrase, but we'll use it. In normal people, what happens is you're seeing a person, and then your mirror neurons are trying to figure out how you would feel if you were acting that way. And that's what gives you your gut feelings. Yeah, you got your croissant. Hey, Spicy. Where have you been? Oh my god, hi. We're about to wrap it up, dude. You've missed a time. But nice croissant, Shark. Nero Spicy. God. For those of you who don't know, they're relabeling that Nero Spicy. It's awful, and it's very Tumblr, and it's totally going to become popular. Playing Mario Kart with your mom. Epic. We actually had a sidebar about that. I love that normal is offensive, and I'm like, motherfucker, what do you think typical means? Yeah, like, normal is like a statistical description. Way to admit that it's not what it means, it's just a word you don't like? Yeah. Nero Spicy Almond Mom. You haven't beaten the kids in Mario Kart because your oldest is now old enough to beat you. Yeah? I bet in 4 weeks I could have him beating you consistently. I bet in 4 weeks I could have our oldest son good enough at the game that you will never beat him again. You know why I know that? Everyone beating everyone in the RM household. You know how I know that? Is because every time I try to give you direction about improving at the game, you take it as a personal attack, and every time I teach our oldest something, he listens. In 4 weeks, he will be whooping your ass in Mario Kart. I guarantee it. A wife who hasn't beaten her husband lately. You gotta have the learning mindset to learn. And yeah, my oldest hasn't always had that mindset. But when I... Oh, Mario Kart stream? No. I'm not that good at Mario Kart. I'm just good enough to train anybody with the ability and humility to want to learn things how to kick my wife's ass in Mario Kart without failure. Those are fighting words? Okay. See? Personal attack. Personal attack. She's upset about it.
There is a personal attack.
You heard it, folks. You heard it. She is now saying I'm personally attacking her. That's not what a personal attack is. I can train anybody to beat you in a video game. Yeah, is not a personal attack. I love this. I love that you're doing this in front of people. It is so cathartic because when I bring this up later, I will have like 8 to 12 people that are just like,
Why are you doing this? I was only talking about beating the kids in one game. And then that was it. And you're all like, I'm gonna make it a competition.
I'm enjoying this. Guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up now before I get in too much trouble. Oh my goodness. Here's to sleeping on the couch, but being correct.